Hello everyone, Josh here with Exodus Games, bringing you all another Awaken Chaos Era video, and today we're finally doing it. We're talking about the boy William, Sir William, one of the most busted and overpowered characters in the entire game, and I love him for it because he makes a lot of things that are difficult to overcome more doable, much more reasonable, much more achievable, whatever word you want to use. If you're free to play, this is a must-pull character. Matter of fact, if you're looking for a reroll target, I would say William would have to be in that discussion. It wouldn't even be a legendary. It would be Nathalia and William and Zatlix. Whatever kind of combination you want to try and put together, I think those are your proper reroll targets if you're free to play. That is, of course, if you want to reroll. Casual spenders and whales, you're probably going to run into William eventually anyway, so it's not really as much of a concern for you guys and gals out there. But William is, in my opinion, my personal opinion, a top 5 unit, and nobody could change my mind because I've used this guy for pretty much almost everything in the game. Like, he's just an overall super utility unit that could be used on all types of content. Even when he's off element, he's still assisting and benefiting your team in such a way, it's still hard to take him out. Like, I know a lot of people that run William in their Tulpa team. Even with the type disadvantage, it does not matter because what he's providing your team is absolutely insanity. He probably arguably has the best trait in the entire game. Gangelo obviously is in that argument as well as maybe a couple other units, but those are the two that really stick out. But my goodness, what William can provide to your DPSs cannot be replicated by anybody else in this entire game. What he does for DPSs with his entire skill set, his trait, is just remarkable. And we're going to go ahead and talk about that and how that actually can branch off into other aspects of the game that maybe some of you William users out there that know how good he is may not even know the true potential of what William can offer to you. And we're going to be going over all that in today's video, so hopefully y'all are excited as I am because I love William. William is awesome. He may not have the coolest character design for some of you. You know, he doesn't have big titties. You know, he's not like the husbando, general look. Like, your shonen hero type character or whatever. Or a superhero character, if you will, if you want to go out more the Western style. But he is doing things for your team that you just, you cannot ignore. It's just too insanity. It's too ridiculous. I know there's areas of the game where people will literally get stuck, like just hard stuck, and they cannot do anything about it. You insert William, boom, you clear it like it's nothing, and then it feels easy to you. That is the level of importance that he has over the game. And I'm so glad that they did not nerf him or anything like that from the betas to now, because if they did, that would really put a lot of stress on a lot of free-to-plays, because I feel like he existing in the game helps free-to-plays so much. Kind of like, what Nathalia can do, what Andre can do, what Winstrex can do, right? Things like what Zachary can do, what who else are we thinking of here, what Joseph can provide you with Mary, units like that. We need units like that in the game because they're cheaper, they're easier to build, they're easier to obtain than legendaries, and they help the game remain some semblance of a balance, so it's just not all whale heavy to clear the game or do certain types of content. So I am very grateful that we do have units like this, and that William is not a legendary, he is in fact an epic, and hopefully it stays that way because he is so crucial to the game long term, in my opinion, because he is future proof. The way he's designed, he is future proof because he's always going to remain relevant if his skill set stays the same that it is now. So let's hope that it stays that way. Sir William is a beast. There we go. So he has B attack, A health, and defense. Speed is a B, and so is core rate. So he has a very good stat distribution for an epic. There was no C's. That's good. Obviously, it doesn't have an S, but if he had an S, he'd be a bit broken, especially if it was in health or defense, because he already gets plenty of health and defense between his base stats, your gear you're going to be giving him, and of course, his maxed out glyphs. He's just going to get a lot of HP and defense, so he's going to be a really good tank, okay? And you do want to put some speed on him because obviously you want to set up for those counterattacks and stuff like that, the following turns or round or whatever. All right, so his trait. A lot of people know all about the trait. It's crazy. The basic abilities of all team members deal 80% more damage. Now, what does that mean to people who are unfamiliar with how William works? If you don't have William, you're probably wondering, what does that mean? Basically, you have 3 skills on most of the characters you run, unless you're running like rares and common stuff like that. They only have like 2 skills most of the time, and they don't have no traits. But regardless of that, most characters are going to be using are going to have 3 skills. The first skill is a basic skill. It has no cooldown. There is no cooldown for basic abilities, which means you can use them every time it's the character's turn without any kind of requirement. So, deals 50% damage to an enemy and launches a joint attack with a random ally. So that would be the basic ability for our boy William. So right now, William's going to be doing 50% damage. That's going to be based on his attack. You can also include crit and crit damage if he does crit. So all that stuff will have to be taken into account on the calculations, as well as whatever the enemy's defense is. But to keep it simple, he's basically going to be doing 50% damage, right? You're going to go ahead and add 80% from his trait to that. So now that 50 becomes 130. But now keep in mind, William is not a DPS. He is a tank. So even with that massive boost from his, almost said massive boob. Hey, man. But because of that massive boost that he receives from his trait, it's going to jump up to 130. But, you know, he's not, like I said, he's not a DPS. He's a tank. So he's not going to still do very much damage. However, he does have something very crazy attached to his basic ability. He can launch a joint attack, which allows you to use another unit's basic ability randomly. So if you run him with, like, let's say 3 DPSs that have all strong skill 1s, you know, their basics, one of those are gonna attack with him every time he uses a skill 1 on the enemy, which counts as 2 hits, which also makes him very deadly against enemies that have shields, like, that require you to attack a certain amount of times to release the shield, because you can't remove it. Like, you can't go in there with, like, an Edicris skill 1 and remove it, because it's not being treated as a normal positive effect. So you have to do the requirements to remove it. So, like, I'd say Bane's Wraith is definitely one of those ones you're going to run into that situation a lot with. And again, type, he's going to be off type, but he's still going to be useful there because of that. And then later when we talk about a skill 2. So those things will be very useful. Marion Shadowblade is a very good target to run with him because of that joint attack and what she has to offer with her basic ability. Same thing like Zachary, he'll get a free attack up buff on himself because of that, because he'll be using his basic ability. And if he somehow kills somebody off of that joint attack, he then triggers his trait. Crazy stuff. So that's just a couple examples right there. You also have other units like Nathalia who could bust out an AoE. We've already talked about her in our previous videos this past week. So definitely go check that out if you want to know what I mean by that. So, you know, long story short, that joint attack basically more than makes up for the lack of damage that William himself will do with that skill 1. So it still makes his skill 1 very, very top tier for the overall aspect of providing more damage for your team, because that's William's real core component. His real function is to make your team hit harder, just period. Just by him existing in your team, even with no dupes, just a 5-6 star vanilla. We call them vanillas if they don't have any dupes in them. Throw a vanilla in there, William, with just some good gear on there just to keep him alive. He's already instantly making your team better, just by merely existing, because of things that he could do with that skill 1. And we're going to break that down even further when it comes to certain gear sets that become super overpowered because of William's existence. So we're going to get to that as well. But now let's go ahead and go into his skill 2. His skill 2 provides 1 stack of counterattack to all team members and applies defense up 2, which is 50% to himself, which is huge. And that'll be, of course, for 3 turns for himself. So he's going to make himself even more tanky. If you run him with a Hackrin, he's going to be super, super tanky. Especially with Hackrin giving him more max health as well. On top of that, additional defense. On top of his own 50% defense buff. I mean, you're talking some crazy defensive numbers flowing around here if you pair him up with Hackrin, who's also a fellow water unit. And it'll be very useful as a nice combination when you're doing your Ash runs, if you have both those units. And Hackrin, I believe, currently at this time anyways, is a synchronized unit, which means, I'm sorry, a synthesis unit, where you can go in there and actually build him up by crafting him with other units. So that's very cool. You can run him with your William to maximize his defense. But the counterattack is very, very crucial, because now if any of your DPSs were to get hit by an attack, they can now retaliate with their basic ability. And as you guys and gals know, the basic ability is being heavily amped up thanks to his trait. So again, the synergy that William has with a DPS team and within his own self, and how much synergy his skills have with each other, is just insanity. Now, this is very rare, guys. We're in very rare territory here. It's not often that a character's trait and skills all have synergy between each other as well as your team. There's not too many instances where you can just throw a plug and play character into any team and then he just works and benefits your team just by existing. These are all things that William does. William does not have a particular team to make him better. No. William being put in a team makes the team better. And what's really crazy about William is he can be in any team in this game and he's still benefiting you some way. It doesn't matter if he's in a poison team, a counterattack team, a bleed team, an ignite team. If we ever get an ignite team in the future, hopefully we do. Poor ass Serena, she's kind of out there alone with Hassel, who's not so much for ignites, but I digress. Those things are crazy because, again, he's going to be future-proof because of these things, because he's going to make any team that you put him in better. And I can't stress that fact enough. It's just what he does, the kit that he provides is just unmatched by any other unit in this game, in my personal opinion. You could argue that William is the #1 unit in the entire game when you really break down what he's actually offering you. He's not built for a specific stage. He's not built for a specific type of content. He's built for everything and anything in this game. Basically, you say Ace, Awaken, Chaos Era. I don't know why I said Ace at the beginning. Awaken, Chaos Era. There we go. Then you have to put William in that sentence because it's just like blank is good for everything in this game. And that blank would be filled with William's name. I'm going to be playing it safe and say that he's top 5 unit in the game. But some of you, after watching this video, you may argue and say he might be the #1 unit in the game. And guess what? I will not argue with you. Matter of fact, in most cases, I will probably agree with that. A lot of people are looking at Light Dawn Evelyn as the best unit in the game. And originally, I thought so as well. But the more I dive deeper and deeper into the olive branch, if you will, of what William can provide for you in this game compared to what Evelyn can, I'm starting to see more positives for William than I am Light Dawn Evelyn. Yes, Light Dawn Evelyn has an amazing kit as well, but she's also, at the end of the day, a light dark legendary, so she's going to be, of course, harder to pull by the general populace of players. So that's already a red flag for debate right there. The fact of getting dupes for her are going to be very, very, very difficult, whereas William's a lot easier, especially considering you can get a lot of those dupes for free from doing various events and completing certain stages of content. So you're going to reach the maximum potential of William before you even scrape the surface of what you can do with Light Dawn Evelyn. And that's going to be for a majority of players. That already, in my opinion, makes William much more important because he's going to be useful to more players in the actual player base than Light Dawn Evelyn will be. Now, you could use her as a support and stuff like that, but those are all limitations that you cannot just use as free as you would like to. You don't have free reign on that. You are limited to using those things daily. Another thing Light Dawn Evelyn has against her a little bit is she is providing you with a little bit more DPS because she's allowing you to take multiple turns, but she's not allowing those units that are taking multiple turns to do additional damage in the way that William is. So if you really think about it, William, over the course of, let's say, an entire fight versus an entire fight with Light Dawn Evelyn, who's actually providing your team with more damage? It would be William. But now I get it. In Light Dawn Evelyn's defense, maybe there's teams that you're running where you don't worry about actually popping damage, but you're more so worried about reducing cooldowns quickly to get to your ultimates, or maybe you're trying to do some kind of debuffs or something like that, perhaps. Or you're trying to do some kind of stacking or something, whatever your team is built around, maybe you just want to go more times quickly as possible. But the crazy thing is, ladies and gentlemen, and here's where it gets really crazy, Light Dawn Evelyn becomes better with William in the team. Now tell me that does not make William #1. If William was in the team with Light Dawn Evelyn, try and argue with me that it would not make Light Dawn Evelyn even better. You see what I mean? It's starting to get very, very hard for me to not just justifiably say William might be the #1 unit in the entire game. Because Light Dawn Evelyn's giving you more turns. Her trait is giving you a few turns of buffs, which is nice. She has a defense down, her skill 2. That's all well and good. but William has a defense down as well on his skill 3, and it's AoE. Okay, he has a full team counterattack on his skill 2. So your units are still attacking a lot with or without Light Dawn Evelyn. But if you put Light Dawn Evelyn in that same team with William, now you have some crazy things going on. Okay? So in my personal opinion, right now, I'm going to say it right here on this video. If you were to ask me who is the #1 unit in the game right now, at this moment, with the current meta we have, I would say it's William. Because he can do everything. He is a do-it-all champion. And I love it. I love it. I'm glad he's an epic as well. Light Dawn Evelyn, she is amazing. Hands down top 5. That's not even arguable. Definitely. And a lot of people will consider her still top 1, even after watching this video. And, you know, that's your opinion, and that's fine. And it's a good opinion to have. Because you're not too far-fetched with that at all. I agree with that. She could be #1. But I just think that William edges her out because of what he can do and the fact that she becomes better with him and her team as well. So it's crazy. Yeah, she benefits him as well for his team that he's building, but he also benefits her. Plus, he has all these other quirks in his kit that are just unmatched. So I love it. I love it. So speaking of his skill 3, sorry, we kind of went on like a little rant there. Well, it's not really a rant, but we kind of like got off base a little bit because we started talking about Light Dawn Evelyn. But I just thought it was a good point to bring up and how good this guy really is, because if you want to kind of showcase how good a unit is, bring up the units that people would consider better than them, and then prove to those people why that unit might actually not be as good as this one, and they think that one is #1. So it's an eye-opener. It can make you think. It's crazy. Theory crafting is a beautiful thing in gachas. It's what really got me into gachas, because I love looking at numbers, statistics, theory crafting, team building. These are the things that excite me. Okay? Very exciting things. So his ultimate, as we've mentioned, does do an AoE defense down. It's an 80% chance, granted, but since there's usually 4 targets when you're using it, that's a very high chance of at least knocking a couple units for a defense down debuff. At least a couple. More times than not. Especially with a little bit of focus on William, you're good to go. Very, very good. So his whole kit is beautiful because you AoE defense down. Now your DPS are going to be hitting harder, and it's a two-turn debuff down as well, so it's very nice. Skill 2, counterattack. Your DPS will be counterattacking a lot with their basic abilities. And then, of course, his trade is providing more damage to the basic ability. His skill 1 is providing you the chance for one of your DPSs to attack additionally. So you're basically attacking twice, which can be very, very good against units like Balberith or other units like Dark Nicholas, stuff like that, where units have like death protection and you want to find a good way to get around it. Well, the more times you can attack before the enemy attacks, you can get around those things quite easily. And William provides you with all those fundamentals to be able to do that. So now that we've discussed William and how good he is for just being him, being himself, there's a concept. Be happy to be yourself. There you go. William, he's teaching us all these philosophies, ladies and gentlemen. He's a prophet, he's a saint, he's a god. All in one. This dude is just fantastic. But this is where he extends the olive branch. This is where he starts dipping into other areas of the game that you might not realize at first, but hopefully this video will open some eyes, as we've said. Gear. There are select gear sets in this game where William actually improves the gear set by, again, existing. And we're going to talk about a couple of those right now. Two of my favorites for William. So let's go to the dungeon. Excuse me, guys. Let's go to the dungeon here. Queen of Tides. I still hate that Queen of Tides has this gear and it's not an Ash no more. Feel burnt. I feel like I got scorched. All right, so Cursed Set. After attacking, there's a 50% chance to launch a bonus attack using this character's basic ability. Can be triggered once per turn. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Connect the dots. William is giving you 80% additional damage on your basic ability. If your basic ability is 100%, it now becomes 180. But if you have a curse set and it triggers, that 180 becomes 360 total because you're going to be doing it twice. mind-boggling, ridiculous. And you're not going to get that from 2 sets of attack gear. That's only going to give you 30% additional. Because even if you add a 30%, right? Because 15 and 15, let's say you add to 30%, okay? Your 180 is still, you know, tip-top shape. It's going to be 210, okay? Versus 360. It's not even comparable. Now, granted, it's a 50-50 shot, but it's going to trigger more times than not. And I guarantee you it's probably going to trigger at least once or twice a fight. So even if you add those percentages, that's still a big chunk of damage on the table. And that's just for one unit. That's not including when they do a counter attack. That's not including if they do a joint attack. That's not including if you have multiple units with the curse set. You're talking some crazy levels of damage potential here using William. William is benefiting so much stuff that he's even tapping into making gear better. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The curse set is bonkers. I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy and I love it. And I love it. So if you guys are free to play, if you're casual, or even if you're well and you're trying to build a really solid team and William's in that team, you're not going to regret it. And if you are able to have the capabilities of going into certain stages and farming up certain types of gear, I highly recommend going for the curse set and going for this next set we're going to be talking about as well. Now, this one's going to be a little bit harder to get if you're trying to get it from the gear dungeon, that is, because Gemini Dragon's the hardest boss in the game by far. This dude is a beast. But he does have a set of gear in here that's also very, very, very good with William. And it's a gear that's not really talked about much, but we're going to talk about it right now. The Divine Set. This character has a 30% chance to launch a counterattack with their basic attack. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, why would you run that? 30%? That's lower than 50% with Cursed. But here's the thing. Cursed is limited to once per turn, right? This thing can go off multiple times because it's a 30% chance every time this enemy gets hit. Because it says right here, this character has a 30% chance to launch a counter attack. You can only launch a counter attack if you've been hit. If you're doing a lot of different stages with various enemies or even a boss stage with various minions around them, if they hit your character multiple times, you have a 30% chance every one of those hits to counterattack with your basic attack. So, depending on what type of unit you're running with, the Divine Set might actually be better than the Curse Set, and vice versa. But those two sets are amazing in a team that has William in it. Absolutely amazing. The DPS potential is ridiculous. And it also works very well if you're running William with a poison team. You could stack more poisons, and then boom, Gajar's gonna go in there and nuke. He's gonna do the biggest nukes of his life because of William. It's crazy. It's crazy the things that you can do. Now, since we're on the subject of William, and I want to leave you guys off with this, a lot of you have been asking, what type of gear would you put on William? Now, the three big core stats that I would worry about with William are HP, defense, and speed, right? That's it. HP, defense, speed. But there is one set that I would recommend that doesn't get talked about quite as often as I would like it to, because I feel like it's a very underrated set. And it's a set that I would put on pretty much all of my tanks in the game because it's so good. Right here. Dragon Scale set. Dragon Scale takes 30% less damage from critical strikes. That is so good for William because William's going to oftentimes be in stages where he's going to be off element. So he will take a beating, and he probably will get critted on a lot. So if you run the Dragon Scale set, same thing with Connor. He's another unit that you might run a lot of times on off elements just because of his versatility of how good he is and how he's still basically the best healer in the game because of his entire kit. In my opinion, Connor is kind of like the elite version of, I would say, I guess, William. Because William is so bonkers for being an epic of what he can do amongst all other epics in the game. And then Connor's kind of got that same role as an elite. Like, he's the best elite in the game. And then you could say that William is probably the best epic in the game. But William also could technically be the best unit in the game, period, because of all the things we've mentioned. But that's up for a debate for a lot of you. I know some of you will argue, maybe he's top 2, maybe he's top 3, definitely top 5, in my opinion anyways. But I still think that he might be able to edge out Light Dawn Evelyn and be number 1 based on the things we've talked about. But again, you guys can let me know all that and more in the comment section below. I think it's a fun discussion to have. But yeah, Dragon Scale set for him is great. So if you can get that and then get the guard set from Gemini, or if you want to try and farm it from story, I think some of these ones from Gemini are still in story. Maybe they're not. I'd have to go back and double check. But either way, any way you can get a guard set, even if it's from the shop refreshes, if you can get a couple pieces, a couple decent pieces of guard set, and then have dragon scale set, your William's going to do phenomenal. Because by time you start getting to like mid to end game, you're going to start building teams that are going to be clearing a lot of content in 3 to 4 turns. So that guard set is going to last for basically 3 turns of William. As long as William's not taking additional hits, it'll last the full length of 3 rounds, I suppose. But if he does take additional hits, it'll probably be a little bit less. But regardless, it'll be solid for PvP. You'll have a nice set of gear that you can also swap between him and Connor, or any of your other tanks, even like your Black Horns or your Hackrins. Unless you want to go full defense with him, that's fine. There's a lot of different things you can do, but I personally recommend the guard set. Guard set and dragon scale, because I think that just makes him super tanky. You could also go dragon scale defense, the Vanguard set. You could go dragon scale Terra, which would be the HP set. You could go dragon scale Raider, which is the speed set. So basically you can mix and match a lot of different styles depending on what your needs are, but I definitely recommend doing dragon scale for him and Connor and some of your other big tankier type units, because of the way it could help you a lot, taking less damage in PvP, taking it against off element enemies, etc, etc. But that is my analysis of William. You know, if I haven't told you enough already in today's video, he's awesome. He's amazing. If you have him, build him. If he's not built up yet, what are you doing? Stop watching this video. Like the video, get out and go build William, and then thank me later, because he's that damn amazing. And I hope you guys that have William right now, hope you're happy with him. Hope he's doing well for you, because my goodness, is he a game changer. And that's my full analysis of William in today's video, guys. Hopefully I explained a lot and why I feel that he's top 5, possibly top 1 in the game. Again, let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe, tick notifications, join us in the Discord and description below. Go ahead and smash that like button. Let's try and get 50 today. No. Let's do 100. This is William, damn it. 100 likes. Let's do it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at XSPlays, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.